Hi everybody, welcome back to Barn Talk. I'm Glenn Kennedy, this is Charles Moss. This past week I started a Facebook page and I had a lot of private requests, people asking me how the Barn Boys got started. And actually how they got started was small guy versus big government. Charles, why don't you explain to them how they actually got started?
Well, our land here in West Covina was, by then, the walnuts had pretty well, most of them been taken out, and the citrus had failed. So they were into row crops, and they were doing quite well. And after going through the Depression and saving this land and the floods and the walnuts and the quick decline and all the problems, they got their land producing again. But of course the pressure was on for housing because the wars have ended, the two wars, Korea and the Second War, and a lot of people loved California. The veterans who came out here, they wanted to live in California, but the farmers here wanted to keep their land as long as possible. So the land became very valuable. The government was going to force them out, and they decided to do it with high taxes. So they raised the taxes, but the crops were still doing okay. We had good black-eyed peas, we had cauliflower, we had good corn, we had roses, the bare root roses, and strawberries, and they could hang on. Covina had the quick decline, and they hadn't torn their trees out yet, but by now they were taking them out for housing. So they weren't as interested as the group in West Covina around the Hearst Ranch. So then the state decided that they were going to do this, and then what happened was, if a farmer was offered a high price for his property and he sold, that meant the farm next to it was priced at a new base, and that really did it. And then what really took place was that didn't knock them all out, but they still wanted more. They started raising the price by saying that land is going to be taxed at all the utilities, the lights, the streets, the sewerage, the water, and the power, and that finished it. So they decided at that time to sell and start developing homes for the people in Los Angeles who wanted homes, and that's okay. That was progress. It had to happen eventually.
The progress has stepped in, and you weren't going to fight it. All the GIs were coming home.
Sure.
They had all the defense plants out here, and everybody wanted to live out here.
Can't blame them.
You couldn't blame them.
Yeah.
The weather's nice 12 months out of the year. So after that, the guys got together, and they used to go over to Troy McCann's little shed there in Covina. Tell us about that, Charles.
Yeah. You remember most of the Barn Boys at that time went to Covina High School, Baldwin Park, West Covina, Charter Oak. And they all went to the Covina High School, and they knew each other, and they had the full shop program up there. It was huge. Metal shop, welding, drafting, print shop, wood shop, and they had a teacher, Mr. Galden, and he was a wood shop teacher, and I believe he liked building boats because he seemed to teach them how to bend wood with steam and the furniture and how to build boats and the ribbing and everything. And I believe that Troy McCann, there was a little tin shed on College Street, east of the City Hall in back. And the shed was about two garages. I always thought Mr. McCann brought some tin over from his ranch because it looked like it was all beat up.
Now, that was behind the beauty shop, right?
Yes, did I say?
And also, Troy, he's the one who built those bungalows at their Covina Park, right?
Yes, those were his.
Okay, yeah,
that's good to know. They're kind of special, aren't they?
Yes, they are. They're still standing today.
They're still standing. I think they're one rooms, aren't they?
Yes, they're very small.
Yeah. Troy was a heck of a nice guy, and he built boats that were beautiful. They had all that, like the Chris Crafts. They had all that wood inlay and mahoganies and oaks. He had some wood in some of those boats that I don't even think you could purchase today. And they all used to meet there in the morning and have coffee and talk politics. And they built boats. We'll talk about some of the trips they went on with Troy and everybody. They're just
legendary.
Yeah, they really are. Then Troy passed away very suddenly, and then they moved to Boatland. And would you like to tell the story about that?
Well, Boatland was there at right there on Vincent and the freeway there, the old part of the old mall there. And they used to meet there.
Yes.
And the story was, a guy walked in, he wanted to buy a boat, and they all laughed at him and said, "We don't sell boats here."
Yeah.
So I basically, all the chrome and everything would walk in. You had to order it.
You had to order it.
And it was basically for them to just work on their boats.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was where they were meeting now at Boatland,
Yes.
and they were buying skipjacks and bigger boats because they were going on more trips.
Yeah, and they would go from there to the Coffee Dan's.
Yeah.
And then about 1967, they moved over here to Hearst Ranch, right here in this farm where we're sitting right now. And they're still here today. So what the Barn Boys is today we're just a mid-social club. Meet here every Friday, and twice a year we do barbecues. But in the old days, the old timers, they ran the city.
Yeah.
And all the decisions were made here. There was no Brown Act back then, so it was perfectly legal. They'd come here. And all city business was basically done here.
Yeah, that's correct. And they worked on their boats and did gardening, and
yes,
they were very, and they liked each other, I think, is another thing. They went on trips and had a wonderful time, and that's how it started and continued on.
Continued to this day.
And this is kind of a showpiece of West Covina right here.
Absolutely. Hearst Ranch Historical Center is actually the hidden gem of West Covina, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree, because so much history's here.
Yes.
Yes. And in this area, this was the area it all took place at West Covina.
So, was there anything else, Charles?
No, I'd like to cover their boat trips, but that's going to take a lot of time.
Day.
But we'll have fun on that one, especially the donkey barbecue in Bullhead City, right?
Yes.
Yes, and it was fun.
Okay, with that, I hope we answered your questions. And if you'd like us to research or talk about something else, please let us know. Until then, thank you. We'll see you next time.